Seriously, I wanted to make a positive review for a change of a modern game, not a retrospective. I heard good things of this game before it released. I didn't know. I just didn't know. This game is probably the worst thing I've played since Silent Hill F. And it hurts me to say this. I kinda feel sorry for this game, but I need to say what needs to be said. How something like this is possible is beyond human comprehension. A studio thinking that releasing a game like this is a good idea is incomprehensible to me. Pearl Abyss stocks fell by 40% on release day, but they quickly rebounded up because this is the new age. The post-Coof age of slop of zero standards after normies were forced to stay home, willingly or not, and so they invaded the gaming sphere in mass with their shit for brains, lack of soul in their bodies, no internal monologues, and no concept of shame. And holy crap, this game was made for those with no standards. It's the pinnacle of let's take every idea from every successful video game from the past decade and mix it all together with no regard for quality control. And it's the biggest disappointment of the year so far for me. For reference, one of my favorite multiplayer games ever is Guns the Duel, that freakishly technical third-person shooter with swords that died a long time ago. You might have heard of the K-style and how absurd the APM numbers of good players are. So I had a lot of respect for the Koreans who invented that shit. So do you understand why I was hopeful for this game? I couldn't wait to play an action RPG with skillful combat. Well, Crimson Desert taught me to never play a game made by Koreans again. This game is nothing short of a dumpster fire. This was supposed to be an MMO, but Pearl Abyss converted it into a half-assed single-player game, and it really shows. This game is a major time waster. It feels like what they did was they went on ChatGPT and asked, give me 30 ideas for an open-world RPG the most successful games of this genre have adopted, and went with what the AI told them to the letter. The result? A mishmash of many different mechanics, all of them as shallow as a half-dried puddle, and most of them done in unnecessarily complicated ways. This game is just aggravating for the sake of being aggravating, to make you suffer as much as possible, to do the simplest of things. And that's only one part of this whole thing, so I'll not waste your time talking about the good things this game has, because they're so completely overshadowed by the bad that they don't even matter. It doesn't matter that some visuals are gorgeous like this. It doesn't matter how it simulates a bunch of things like fire spreading everywhere and destroying shit. It doesn't matter that you can use the environment to your advantage, like the game just letting you demolish entire watchtowers to take out the snipers on them, or that it's one of the most interactive games I've seen. Almost every object is an item you can collect. I acknowledge these good things existing, but it doesn't matter because the bad things are just that fucking bad. There's so much wrong with this game. There's a lot to cover, but let's start with the basics, okay? You know me, right? You know, I know. Games were far better in the PS1, PS2, and PS3 generations over modern slop. I say I want games to go back to how they were back then. Well, I got my wish, but it was a monkey's ball wish. It did it in the worst way possible. Remember the Tomb Raider games for the PS1? Remember those iconically god-awful controls? Fruit of the fact that game development was still being figured out back then? Well, it looks like we're back to reinventing the wheel, because Crimson Desert is a serious contender for having the worst controls in existence since PS1 Tomb Raider. I want to claw my skin off after controlling the characters in Crimson Desert. This is some of the most sluggish movement I've ever experienced, and why, I ask? Why does this need to be a fucking thing? For immersion? Making it so you have to fight your own character whenever you feel like running is not how you do immersion, you stupid motherfuckers. Moving your character in this game feels like you're playing one of those marble games, but with a 500-pound iron ball. Jesus Christ, this shit sucks. What is it with these modern game devs and their allergy to fluid controls? Does it hurt to make good games? Oh dude, the animations, they are so realistic. Look, all his movements are motion captured, which is exactly the type of comment I got in one of my posts from shameless slop gobblers who think immersion is when you play a movie game with unskippable boring dialogue and makes you waste all your time with pointless animations and little cutscenes everywhere and controls worse than their grandpa's bladder. This type of shit is the reason why games suck now more than they ever did. When you have automatons like this, thinking that immersion is when you play a movie game and your character has the inertia of a rolling wrecking ball. That's what makes a quality immersive game according to bugs like this one. And this game's design can be perfectly summarized in the fact that one of the first things you learn in a tutorial is how to jump precisely by aiming at the floor and pressing the jump button to jump and land where you aimed. Because this game's controls are so bad, they had to do that instead of, I don't know, making good fucking controls. And this game is slow, dude. Everything is slow. Your turning speed is slow. Your walking speed is slow. Your acceleration is slow. Your horse's acceleration is slow. Your braking speed is slow and slidey with absurd amounts of inertia. Yet you're forced to fight enemies that don't follow these same dog shit parameters as you are forced to. When I fought this knee devil boss, I was screaming, why am I not him? Why can't I have movement like his? It's like the devs are teasing the player with this shit, a humiliation ritual purely. Now, at the moment of recording, they released a patch that claims they fixed and improved your movement. I'm not feeling a difference. So either they lied on the patch notes or the difference is so subtle it doesn't even matter. Maybe next patch? Maybe it'll get good after the third or fourth patch. Who knows? And I wanted to play this on controller, and you might know that my controller's L1 button is broken. That's my fault, yes, I should stop being lazy and buy a new one. But why does this game not have any options whatsoever to change controller bindings? Most games I've been playing lately at least give you the option to choose a control scheme with 2, 3, or 4 options. But this one has nothing. You can only rebind keys, and so I had to play on keyboard and mouse. Not the end of the world for me, but it's things like this that make this game feel like it's a studio's first game ever. And I know it isn't, because I know they made Black Desert. But this is even worse. This feels like it's a studio's first game when the studio has only complete amateurs who have never worked on a game prior. And the UI is something else. It was clearly designed for controller, and then they improvised something for keyboard. And let me tell you, some of the decisions in this regard are puzzling, for lack of a better word. For instance, the save and load menu are the same menu. There's a reason every game separates those two into 2 different menus. It's so if you get distracted, you don't do the opposite of what you want by accident to your save files. But in this game, it's all in the same menu, so be careful not to overwrite an important file by accident. The fuck is this game design? This is retarded. And this game likes to overcomplicate everything. The simplest of tasks, things that would take 1 input, now require 3 or 4 inputs for some fucking reason. For instance, how about talking to NPCs? How do you usually imagine something like that to go? You approach an NPC and you press a button. In Crimson Desert, the genius developers trying to innovate and be more immersive, dude, have you do this. First, you must put away your weapons. Second, you have to hold the aim key and aim your lantern at the NPC. You have to position yourself in front of the NPC, and then you press the talk key, as if all that crap from before wasn't specific enough yet. A task that normally would require only 1 input, just pressing a button next to an NPC, now requires 3 or 4. What is this lunacy, man? How about fishing? You equip the fishing rod, you left click on the water to fish. Left click and hold to control the line. I don't know why that's necessary. Could have been just moving your mouse. But when a fish bites, do you left click again like the game had you do so far? No, you have to right click this time around for some reason. Even though that's the only action you can do. It might sound like a minor thing, but no other game does things like this. It unnecessarily breaks your rhythm. Something that would be intuitive in any other game instead becomes something you need to memorize. This is why I say this game's trying to reinvent the wheel. You gotta relearn how to play video games. It feels like you're back to the NES era. Rewiring the player's brain. And there's one more annoyance for mouse and keyboard bros. Because the controls on the menu are all over the place. It requires you to use different keys for no reason. For instance, to use an item, it's spacebar or double click. But to cook food or to refine items, it's not the spacebar anymore. It's R. To extract abyss gears, it's not R anymore, it's F. So you have to keep in mind that the use key keeps changing depending on the context, even though it's for the same exact function. Why not keep everything on spacebar or enter, or letting you do all of that by double clicking? It's all the same function anyway, the main function. There's no reason to keep hopping from key to key like this. This shit is annoying and counterintuitive. Once again, just like with fishing, you gotta reteach your brain not to follow your automatic habits anymore, or you end up making mistakes. The inventory and its interface are awful. Some of your items are bundled together in groups. This is done arbitrarily by the game. It's not the player who determines what groups are what. Most of the documents, notes, and key items, they get bundled up together arbitrarily. So if you want to find an item within one of these groups, all you can do is guess in which group the item is, because there's zero cohesion in the groupings. So some documents go into one group, some go to others. There's barely any criteria. There's a group for documents, and then there's a group for key documents, even though both of them are important and necessary to complete quests. The exact same thing happens to keys, even though both types of keys are necessary to complete quests. Does Perlbis not know what the term key item means? The sealed artifacts group, for instance, all of their icons are the same, their names are all the same, their descriptions here are all the same. So what's even the point of having this when you can just look at the challenges in the journal? These overly unnecessary groupings are also present in the weapon wheel and the item wheel. Look at how many empty slots there are, but instead of the game letting you use those to distribute your items more efficiently, no, it only uses a few of them, and then it groups together all the weapons in one group. You have to cycle through with your mouse wheel to find the weapon you want. Same thing with the secondary weapon, same thing with the tools, same thing with the consumables and everything else. I think they should have done more wheels. One for the primary weapon, one for the secondary, one for the offhand, one for tools. But look, where you find your bow and arrow, you also find your fishing rod. What the fuck is this doing here? Wait, never mind. That wouldn't work on controller. So they have to jam all sorts of unrelated items in each bag, and it's your problem to scroll through all that. The skill tree layout could be much better as well. Some of the icons don't make any sense, like this one, which looks like a water drop, but inside you find the dodge, parry, and counter skills. Who the hell associates a droplet with these skills? I have to double click and check them, because with misleading icons like this one, which is also an unnecessary step. They should have just laid out every node in one skill tree. Open it up, make a big node, and put these sub skills around it. Also, the way these nodes are ordered makes no sense. The most basic attack, the node for that thing, is all the way up here and in the middle of this row. Such a random place for the most fundamental of things to do, which is to increase the damage of your basic attack and expand its moves. It should have been the first node out of the center. It's all so confusing.
Fuck this shit. That's what you get. That's what you fucking get, bitch.
And so the combat. When I looked at this game's trailers, I thought, this looks interesting. I'm feeling that hack and slash itch. I was tired of seeing Souls-likes everywhere. So a true hack and slash would be a nice, welcome change. But unfortunately, it was never the case with this game. First off, the combos. While they do look flashy, they are extremely shallow. You have two types of combos. A light combo, a heavy combo, and you also have have the heaviest attacks that you perform by pressing both heavy attack and light attack at the same time. And well, with that out of the way, what I have to say about the combat is that it's button mashing. In fact, if you don't like mashing, then you can just hold down the attack buttons and the game will do the combos for you. How nice, how engaging. The combat is brain dead like that. There are some extra moves you can do though. You have a palm strike called the Force Palm, whose main function in combat is to break the enemy's guard, because in terms of damage it doesn't do that much. So you use that on shield enemies basically, and you finish them off when they fall to their knees. There's a lot more variety to it too, as you can kick and do all sorts of kicking moves like drop kicks and others, as well as punching techniques and grappling. But in terms of chaining moves, creating complex combos, there's none of that. Your combos are pretty simple. As it's a Korean game, I expected it to let me cancel all animations, but no, there's none of that. And there's also the sluggish movement again. Maybe one day people will find glitches that allow for animation canceling, but even if they did, it wouldn't matter, because as opposed to a true hack and slash, this is an RPG, which means you upgrade your gear constantly. This is much more important in this game than chaining combos together. That's why I say that it's pretty much button mashing, because you don't need to chain anything. Your stats, they carry you. Even if you do find a way to chain combos together, it doesn't matter, because you'll have to hit enemies 10, 15 times in a row if you're underleveled. In this game, it pits dozens of enemies against you at a time. It's even comparable to Dynasty Warriors, the sheer quantity of enemies that you have to fight at once at some points. So no matter how many combos you chain, if your gear is too weak, it's not gonna help you. In fact, this game requires you to grind side quests and stuff to progress the main quest, because there are insane difficulty spikes at various points of the main quest line, which no amount of sick combos will help you get through. And they're not even interesting difficulty spikes. All that changes is the enemies become damage sponges. It's the most boring way to do it. So as long as your gear's level is adequate, button mashing the heavy combo is enough to deal with anything. Well, in terms of defense, your options are to block, dodge, roll, parry, and counter. There's more stuff you can do, like blinding enemies with your sword, but the main options are those 5. Blocking is good, but if you don't have a lot of stamina, you will be forced to use the other moves. Now, the dodging is awful, simply awful. Both dodging and rolling are typical of Souls-likes, except that in this game, it has a 400 ms delay, give or take a few milliseconds, between you inputting a roll and the character rolling. It's absurd. Why does that happen? Because this game has so many features in it, including moves, that they had to shove a lot of different moves into the same key or button. So the buffer required is enormous. When I was fighting the Yeti dude, until I realized that I had to press the roll button so absurdly early that it's completely alien. I was getting my ass whooped against his pre-patched version, but once I realized what the problem was and consciously made the effort to roll earlier, I beat it in a couple tries. It's absurd. In this game, you are not only fighting the enemy, you're also fighting your character. As for the parry and counter, you have to get them in your skill tree. They're not there by default. I assumed they would be, which explains how I got my ass whooped by the Sneed Devil pre-patch, but they're pretty good. I haven't felt any weird delays or input lag in them. And I just remembered there's an ability that lets you roll as you get hit, and that ability has 0 input delay. Well, so why couldn't they have done this with the normal dodge and roll? The sluggishness of the character movement is completely intentional, which is why I can't excuse this game. You have a bow and arrow too, which I barely ever used, but there's a fucking auto aim. So cool, right? You can hit your shots. Well, no. The fucking auto aim makes sure that if you want to hit something else that's not an enemy, like an explosive barrel that's next to the enemy, well, good luck with that. You're gonna be playing tug of war against the auto aim. The same is true if there are multiple enemies. Getting to choose who to shoot, well, that's up to the auto aimer. But the problem with this combat, again, is the massive input delay in your attacks. Sometimes they work good, other times, especially fighting bosses, I found myself mashing left and right click like a madman when I got my chance to attack, but a lot of times your character just won't attack. He just won't. The delay is so fucking high sometimes. I have no clue why that is, but it feels awful. The combat feels as bad as the movement, if not worse. This is for both attacks, light and heavy. It makes no difference. The enemy variety is atrocious. 95% of the enemies you'll fight are the same guards or bandits, which are just reskins. There's some variety here and there, but in the main quest line, the only non-human enemies that I've fought in 45 hours of gameplay were some dogs and these shadow harpies. That's it. There are some big guards, those Nephilim enemies, but they're basically a variation of the regular guards. I also found a bear just once, while I was roaming around exploring. Now, I know there are other enemy types. I've seen them in other people's streams, but you could count with your fingers, dude. Mostly it's just guards, sword guards, shield guards, bow and arrow guards, big guards, guards on horses. It's simply awful. In fighting guards, again, it's like playing Dynasty Warriors. You'll be fighting packs of dozens and knocking them back, just like in a Muso. And the combat becomes really repetitive. A lot of times you'll be finding yourself having to liberate fortresses, encampments, or fighting in wars. And the game requires you to kill a certain amount of enemies to be able to progress. If there was more enemy variety to this, it would be great. And if you could do more satisfyingly skillful things with your combos, even greater. But instead, you are stuck with the holding down the button combat, having to chip away at the percentage at the corner of the screen, 0.1% at a time for each enemy you kill sometimes. Having to kill the same enemies over and over and over. It gets stale real quick. As for the bosses, it's not a Muso anymore. It's Dark Souls or Elden Ring. It becomes outrageous at points. Before they nerf most bosses with that patch, the Yeti boss, he would just maul you incessantly, trashing you, turning you into a ragdoll. It was ridiculous. I had barely any chances to attack. And check out this camera. Horrible. Can't even see anything. How am I supposed to defend myself like this? This problem was not fixed with the patch. It still happens on several bosses. This is one of the worst cameras I've ever seen in an action RPG. Same thing with this guy who likes to turn into an anime lightning god. It feels like he will never stop attacking. He won't let you get your turn. Only he can attack. When it's finally your fucking turn, then he starts to do some acrobatics around. He starts jumping and doing somersaults, and he has iframes too, just like you. And when he's not doing that, he can also block your attacks, and a lot of his attacks give him invincibility for a while. It doesn't help that some of these bosses, when they're doing their spurgouts, they completely destroy the lighting of the scene. I couldn't see shit when they were doing their special moves. How the fuck am I supposed to dodge and defend myself when I can't even see what's happening? I hate this type of combat. I hate this design when the pacing is entirely dictated by the enemy and you have to play passively, dodging as best as you can until your turn to attack comes eventually. It's the worst part of Souls-likes. Now, having 45 hours in at this moment, I was saying, well, at least it doesn't have those bullshit delayed attacks we see all the time in Elden Ring. But then I got to this motherfucking boss and he does exactly that. So yeah, one more idea from the list they got from ChatGPT of things other games, better games, did. Oh, and I couldn't forget to state how awful the boss arenas are. They are tiny, and even if you are in a room with the boss, are surrounded by walls. Guess what? The walls are not the boundaries of the arena. No, the boundaries, they're shorter than that. And so if you get too far from the center of the fight, even if you are still in the same room, you will get this notification telling you to go back to the boss arena. It is absolutely fucking... This game this game. So it doesn't even allow me to be creative when I'm fighting. For instance, the Yeti boss, he has an attack where he will just rush you incessantly. He is invincible during this, and he'll slam the ground repeatedly as he comes closer to you. Just dodging is not a good idea, so I had the idea to use my force palm to fly while he's doing that. But that's not allowed. Going too high is off limits. Get back down here, boy. You're out of the arena. Jesus Christ, man. Oh, and one thing that it got really close to making me uninstall this crap is the fact that if you leave the arena, the boss can just explode you instantly from wherever he is. What's actually happening here is similar to this. Some attacks, they snap to you. You have to deal with them. You can't outrun them. The hit spawns on you. So when you're out of the arena and the boss does one of these, it just explodes you. Motherfucker, okay, I know I'm not supposed to be out of bounds, but what about when I'm fighting a mini boss during a skirmish and I want to clear out the enemies before I reach him? But if I go just close enough to his nest, but not close enough to be inside it and aggro everybody in there, while I'm trying to clear out the enemies outside, the boss will aggro anyway. The camera will lock onto him. All of this while I'm just trying to kill the guards outside, and then he'll do one of these attacks and blow me up. Motherfucker, I can't even clear the enemies as this game intended me to do, I imagine, in peace, because this game is garbage. Oh, and just to troll the player, when you deplete a boss's health bar, you still need to land one more hit. Why? Why was this necessary? To say fuck you is why. There is no logical reason for this to be a thing other than to artificially inflate the difficulty of the game. This game is so dumb. You can cry about it all you want, I don't care. This game is badly made. This game's map is a bitch to travel by horse, since most of it takes place in some highlands. There are lots of cliffs, sheer drops, lots of walls and plateaus. Normally I'd like the challenge, but here somehow it's just an annoyance. Because this map is so fucking big and empty of content, it's not satisfying to climb these obstacles, especially when your main quest goal is placed on top of a fucking mountain for some reason. Who the fuck sets up base on the top of Mount Everest here, dude? You know it's great when a game with controls this bad makes it so you have to walk through difficult terrain like this. Anyway, if this map was more interesting, if there were more things to do, more stuff to find, more meaningful stuff to find in these hard to access places, then cool, that would be good. But for reference, I went on this little island that seemed pretty unique, so I thought, okay, there must be something good up there. I climbed all this shit to find absolutely nothing at the top. Just one generic shop. Very rewarding, dude. It doesn't help that the map is terrible at informing what terrain you're about to face. Like here, there's nothing on the map, but in reality, there's this massive plateau I have to climb down. Or when I'm riding to an objective, but both the minimap and the world map are so empty of geographical information that I constantly run into sheer walls and have to find my way around it, which could have been avoided if I could see what was coming in the map. This game really loves to interrupt your pace, and this is perfectly demonstrated when you try going somewhere far away through some of the routes. There are these gates you have to cross. They belong to your allies. It's like a toll or something, except that nobody in there will open it for you. So you have to get down from your horse, use nature's grasp to open it every time, and you have to go through these places because usually when they're there, it's because there are no viable alternative routes, unless you like walking on sheer walls and falling off cliffs, so it's a giant time waster. And if your horse is too big, it doesn't fit through, because all these gates, when they open, they're super short. They don't leave enough space for you to go. None of the devs play tested this game before release, dude. They're doing it now, and also receiving feedback from the guinea pigs such as myself and everybody else who bought this game early. Look, I love exploration, but when I went on a little trip to explore, taking a break from the main quest line, the most interesting things I could find were these shrines where you have to solve a puzzle in order to get an artifact cube, which is just a skill point. I'm sure there are super good pieces of gear hidden very well, but look, when the puzzles start to go full retard, like these ones where you have to look at a map on a wall, an extremely faded map that is, and you gotta find on your world map where that thing is, you lost me at that point. I'm not gonna explore every inch of this ginormous map just to be able to understand what the map on the wall is trying to tell me. The puzzles in this game are like this. They're either full retard, unfair, with autistic levels of exploration required to solve them, or they're brain dead easy, like this. This game seems to like the lights out puzzle so much that every other puzzle is this, but they're all pretty easy to solve. One thing I don't understand is why you have to use the force palm to embed these things to solve the puzzles in the sky when it could just snap into place automatically. It's unnecessary jank. Oh my god, dude, the game gets good and rewarding after 70 hours of slog. Trust me, bro, it's all worth it. Now you gotta be a patient little boy like me, because this game has to be like real life. You have to suffer through hours of doing humiliating chores, menial tasks. You gotta run errands for everybody you meet like a slave, doing pointless menial things like carrying sacks from point A to point B, cleaning a fucking chimney with a broom, making soup for everybody, saving poor cats from roofs. This is what constitutes immersion for the bugmen who are shilling this piece of crap game. Let it sink in. These creatures can vote, and they cancel out your vote. And they still do it now that we know this game was half-assed with a story put together in the last minute by the developers. Literal shit-eaters asking for a second serving. So that's the type of quest you get in the main quest line. For 2/5 of the game, the first 20 hours, you barely get to fight anyone in that quest line. You just run errands, which by the way, Cliff just knows he has to do. Unlike in any other RPG ever, where you get a quest from an NPC, he gives you the quest, the objective, the location, then you go there, you do it, you return to the NPC to get your reward. Well, this game does this on the side quests, but not on the main quest line. Cliff just knows what to do next. It's so weird. It's a strange immersion breaking thing. So all of these menial tasks are strung together, one after the other. Cliff just knows that he gotta help this one random child in a random place out of town. Or he just knows that he has to investigate X thing 1 kilometer away. He has remote vision or something. It's all so disconnected as well. But let's check out some more egregious design choices. Let's say you want to cook food to have a lot of healing items before a major boss fight. Well, I hope you like waiting, because you have to sit through all this fucking downtime so the game can show you in 8K the dish you cook every single time you cook something. It's unskippable, which is hilarious because the cutscene that precedes it is skippable, but I have to keep looking at the end result as if I haven't seen it 1,000 times already. So this process can take a long time depending on how much healing you need. If you drop all your food on the ground and use the reflection of your sword, you can cook them in a way that's faster, but you can't do any of the more complex dishes that heal you more, which are a must on the late game like this. It doesn't even make sense. Just because you have different ingredients that can be used for the same dish, instead of allowing you to get several of the same dishes at once, no, you gotta cook the same dish individually for each ingredient. So get ready to wait a lot. I hope you're patient. And then there's the fucking slow walk and talk segments. Every game does this now. It's just so fucking insanely boring. And you can't avoid these segments. Whenever you're in one of them, if you rush ahead to the destination, it will fail the quest and you have to do the slow walk segment all over again if you get out of range. And there are a lot of those, man. We love Red Dead Redemption 2 and its consequences. Oh boy. Because there are also slow gallop and talk segments. Yeah, I RDR2 was one of the games ChatGPT told Pearl Abyss to copy-paste dog shit features off into their game. And how about the fact you can't skip any cutscenes, you can only fast forward them, and it's not even that fast. It's a 2 times speed up at most if you're watching them for the first time. This was supposed to be an MMO, it's an open world RPG. This type of game with the sheer amount of cutscenes it has, not allowing you to skip, is absolute lunacy. And in about half of these cutscenes, of which they're more like scripted dialogues, you can't even fast forward. All you can do is wait like a moron for the uninteresting, pointless dialogue to play out. And it's so good because in a lot of them there are these long pauses after each line just to spite you a little bit more. All I could do was pace back and forth from the sheer boredom of having to listen to this game's sorry excuse for a story. But you know what's great? Using the fast forward in cutscenes is broken because it often skips entire lines and it cuts off most lines before they're finished.
I'm sorry. It happens. Except it fucking shouldn't. A shame he got away. But don't fuck. Anyway, he's not much of a threat on his own.
We went easy taking his hand. Next time...
We'll kill him, no doubt. But the Black Bears still stands, and they're far more...
This fight won't end until we bring down Mute.
Right.
Also, if the cutscene precedes a boss fight, this stupid game allows the fight to begin before the cutscene is over, before your HUD appears and everything, catches you off guard, and it's utter bullshit. There was zero playtesting done for this game, man. And if you pause the game during combat, the same thing happens. The enemies can attack you before the pause screen gets off your screen. What a great fucking game, guys. You really showed those critics, you really showed the game journalists at IGN when you decided to jump on the Glaze bandwagon all of a fucking sudden, proudly eating shit and asking for second servings just to own the wokey game journalists. I'm so tired, boss. I'm tired of stupidity and cattle mentality. So based, following the herd like Asmongold. I can't wait for the next flip-flop to happen. They had to complicate even reading papers. Oh my god. No, instead of reading, you gotta scan the paper, dude. And Cliff needs to get a feel for what's written because, I don't know, man. Immersion? That's not how you do immersion. And how about when you want to pick up items from the environment? It's one of the worst things about this game, man. How do they screw up something like this? If you have a bunch of items that you want to pick up and they're bunched up together like this, you will have to pick them up individually, one by one, even if the items are the exact same. Like here, Jesus Christ, man, there's this pile of coins that are exactly the same. Instead of being able to grab it all up at once, like any half-decent game would allow you to do, you have to waste your time picking them up little by little, sometimes individually even. What is this game design? What if you want to pick just one item that's bundled up with a bunch of useless stuff? Good luck, because you're gonna have to aim pretty precisely at the item you want to pick up to avoid the others. They improved this a little bit with the last patch, but it's still bad. So pick your poison. Either pick everything up and drop the useless stuff, or fiddle with the aim for a whole minute to pick up the item you want. Tasks that should have been simple are made insufferable. Here's something that was patched in, thankfully, but that was mind-blowing before, because how could they make a supply chest that you can't put anything in it? You could only take out items before the patch. Now you can use it as storage as well. But yeah, did they really need player feedback to figure out that a supply chest in an open world RPG is supposed to store your items? Come on now. What the fuck? And the funniest thing is, so far for me, having this supply chest has not made much difference. I don't think this game was designed with the player wanting to store their items in mind, because you get inventory expansions all the time. In every shop there's an inventory expansion. Plenty of side quests at the camp also give you that. So this last mechanic has been rendered majorly obsolete obsolete by turning the supply chest into a storage chest. Man, what about when you want to steal something? Because you can steal items in this game, just like every other RPG allows you to do, right? It has a half-baked stealth system. Well, you can't steal anything unless you wear a mask. Even if you are alone, completely alone in a room with no one within 500 feet of you, Cliff will only be naughty if he's wearing a mask. I was laughing my ass off because in one mission, I had just assassinated some important guy in his house, in his mansion. No, that's completely fine for me to do. But as soon as I tried stealing something, right after murdering that dude in cold blood, no, that's going too... Cliff would never do that unless he gets into his super villain persona by wearing a mask. And if you lose your mask, if you're caught committing a crime and you're arrested, they will take away your mask from you. They don't take away your weapons, your arrows, your ammunition, but a little piece of fabric? Yeah. And to add insult to injury, the game autosaves right after you are arrested. This is pure humiliation in game format. And this is a problem because you can only steal with the mask. Otherwise, you get locked out of this mechanic entirely. And the mask is only sold at these specific black market merchants. I spent 44 hours playing this game up to now. I explored a big chunk of the map, always checking the question marks to see what kind of shops they are. Most of which, and I mean 19 out of 20 of these question marks, they're just this generic vendor, completely copy-pasted everywhere, who always sells you the same items. But anyway, only now, after 44 hours, I've run into a black market merchant. This is ridiculous. And the drop rate for the mask when you kill bandits, it's extremely weird. I've seen people claim that they get a truckload of masks from them. I've already killed hundreds or thousands of bandits, and the mask only dropped once. So without looking at a guide, you only have luck to fall back on. Luck that you'll get this mask despite the absurdly low drop rate, and luck that you'll find these specific vendors in this gigantic map. This game is so well designed. Some of the items in this game, their only function is to be sold. But this game does not have any feature that allows you to sell all these items at once. Quality of life, these 3 words, Koreans don't have them in their dictionaries. Unless it's an obscure hidden mechanic like cooking shit by reflecting light at it. No, everything you do in this game, you have to do one by one. Now, this game has badly communicated things, but some things are not communicated at all. That's not a problem in itself. But when the game teaches you something over time, only to then, out of nowhere, with no warning or anything, require you to do the exact opposite, then that's a problem. Like this guy who, as opposed to every single other NPC, requires you to talk to him from the back. It made me stand there panicking, thinking that the game had soft locked. This is not the only NPC that does that. There are others. And how about the time when I had to find this hidden mystical village, right? The Kokiri forest in the Lost Woods. So I talked to this girl. She looks off into the forest, says, "Oh, there's my friend. Come on, follow me." And she disappears. And so I start going where she was looking at, thinking she's gonna turn visible again to guide me. She told me to follow her, right? But then I get shot by a tranquilizer and I wake up back where I was before. I try again, same thing happens. So follow me. Follow you where exactly? Where is this girl? Well, it turns out that when she said,
"Oh, there he is. Come on, follow me."
what she meant, what the game meant for the player to do was to run across this entire fucking region, to ride on your horse for 2 miles around this area of the map, because she teleported 2 miles away from you and you can't go straight to her. No, you have to go around so you don't get shot by the kids. Well, the game by itself removed the quest marker without my input. Follow me, by the way. Follow me, yeah. I'm not exaggerating, this is the most misleading game design that I've ever seen. And here is some more awesome, simply awesome game design. In these bounty quests, your target will be at the place designated only during certain times of the day. What times, you ask? I have no fucking idea. The game doesn't tell you. You just have to hope that the bounty target's gonna be there. It says nothing on the bounty notice, nothing on the quest description, nothing anywhere. You just have to hope, man. So when you're looking somewhere without moving your aim, and you decide to aim your weapon in a game, what do you expect? You expect to remain aiming at that same point you were aiming before as you go into ADS or whatever type of aiming. Not in this game. No, when you try to use your axiom, whatever the fuck it's called, to grab items you need to solve puzzles, the game just loves to shove your aim to the right, making you miss the target over and over. At this point for me, the fatigue was building up. I'm sure retards will once again, with their 5-second goldfish memories, think that I'm nitpicking. But what their goldfish memory will not allow them to understand is when you have this many small issues and some not so small issues, one after the other, as you're playing a video game, the whole experience becomes insufferable after a while. Dealing with bullshit after bullshit, no matter how pretty your game looks or how many features it has, how many mechanics it has, it becomes torture. It was the same thing when I played Silent Hill F, a comparison which was apparently too complex for the usual short bus riders who can't even figure out how to put a profile pic in their accounts. And I will not overlook these problems. And there's much more bullshit to go over. There are some random optional puzzles you can do across the map, and they require mechanics that are not explained to you. All you have are these ghosts that are supposed to be the tutorial you have to observe. And the game taught me that I need to press the observe function in order to learn what the ghost is doing. But then all of a sudden, in this instance, I didn't need to. So the ghost disappeared. I couldn't learn anything, couldn't solve the puzzle because of that, because I was looking for the prompt on the bottom right corner of the screen to observe, but it never appeared, so that made me miss what the ghost was doing. And it just never came back. This dogshit game design being as misleading as always. One thing is when a game is designed to not spoon feed you. That is good. This game, no, it actively misleads the player. It's just dog shit. And this is perfectly demonstrated in this part of the game where I have to find my way into this tower. Look at how the front door looks. Tell me this doesn't look breakable. Tell me the way the opening is just big enough to look like it could be squeezed through. He's not screaming, please scroll through here. But no, you cannot break this flimsy looking rubble, not even with your force palm. But I spent 5 minutes trying to break it with every tool that I could think of. And then I went to look for the real entrance in this orange area in the map, which is always where you're supposed to find something to progress. But this misleading piece of shit game made this a red herring because the entrance is not in this area at all. It's way outside on this cliff wall. All the way down here, there is a cave you can enter through. Tell me with a straight face that this is not shit game design. Every single time the game has conditioned the player to know that the objective is within the orange area, and then it keeps doing this. Like we've seen, this is not the first time this stupid game does it. All these things, I don't understand what this honeymoon phase is all about that people are having with this game. This shit is awful. It's full of red herrings, one after the other. The quest design and the level design, they're all over the place. What, is it just because the game is not woke? Just because there's no blatant or troon shit or political propaganda? Any piece of shit is supposed to be great now. No, this game is awful. Wake the fuck up. One more horrendous thing this game does is when you pick up sealed artifacts, your character will inspect it for no reason. There's nothing you can do in this screen. You can't do anything. It's just for looking at it. And this becomes insufferable when you're trying to pick it up, but there are enemies nearby. When you just want to pick up the cube and leave, you can't, because this animation, this slow-ass piece of crap, cannot be skipped. And unless you press escape when the game finally lets you, if you're hit, you'll drop the cube and you'll have to pick it up all over again. There's nothing you can do. The only way is clearing all the enemies, making you waste your time and potentially resources. Game of the fucking century. And when you have to use your memory helmet, I forgot what it's called, to advance in a quest. I don't know what the devs did, but now it's used automatically once you inspect the memories with your lantern. The problem is, if you press something by accident and you cancel the little movie, instead of the game just letting you rewatch the thing by pointing the lantern again, just like you did the first time, no, you have to hunt for that specific memory in your list of memories. At least it could allow you to sort by most recent, but no. This game is made by amateurs. Currently, I'm stuck playing as Damienne, which is too fucking bad because she doesn't have the same abilities Cliff has, like the Force Palm and the Axiom Force. So I find things on the map, many of them being side quests I need to do to grind, to be able to progress on the main quest, like the Witch's Quest, which you have to lift a bunch of cubes to complete. And I can't do them because I can't move shit like Cliff can. If it at least let me switch character but not be able to continue the main quests with them, only to be able to do the side quests. But no, I'm stuck playing as her. What a great motherfucking idea. This game is so peak. This game has so many one-time only use mechanics that you're introduced to. It's just meaningless content, things that you'll never use again, like the horse taming mechanic. I knew I wouldn't use this ever again after this tutorial. The artillery support fire 2 is presented as a new mechanic, but you only ever use it during this segment. And eavesdropping, the mechanic that soft-locked my game more than anything. You only use it here as fake gameplay, fake player engagement, instead of making a game with deep mechanics, which would make the replayability so much greater. No, they just shove shallow thing after shallow thing in the game, one after the other, to the point that it's comically unnecessary. Like, you can pick up small animals, but you can't do anything with them. These features exist just because, but instead of comical, it's tragic because all these resources could have gone to making a better, deeper game. Instead, it is what it is. Oh, and everybody says that the game gets good after X amount of hours, right? Well, apparently I wasn't looking at the screen when it got good, and it must have gotten so good that it looped back around into being shit. Some of the worst quests in the game come after 8 hours, like the eavesdropping quest and this investigation quest you gotta do, where you use your memory helmet all the time and you have to watch a lot of cutscenes. Wow, really, this is peak right here. Peak gaming. I'm convinced you got me. The game became amazing. I will never understand the glaze. Never.
Oh, sh
So, one of the first things I did which made me go, oh shit, this game's gonna be awful, was this. After you get killed and revived for some reason in the beginning of the game, the first thing you do is to slow walk and talk alongside this NPC. Because we love that dog shit in our games, man. We love it so much, right? Normal consumers. You slop gobbling Hylix. So I picked up an object and threw it at the guy I was supposed to be following. And it actually knocked him down, which surprised me positively. But then he would not get up. He would just sit there on the floor moping. I glitched out the first quest in the game and I had to run off far away for the game to fail the quest for me so I could do it again. Wow, 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 wow. This game has a shit ton of glitches. One of the worst ones that took me a long time to realize was that at some point I could not interact with anything anymore if my weapons were drawn. So I'd have to put them away anytime I wanted to interact with anything, to get on my horse, to open a chest, to pick up items from the world. I couldn't. But since the glitch was so subtle, it misled me into thinking, maybe it was always like this and I just wasn't paying attention. It took me watching someone else's stream to see that they could interact with things with their weapons drawn. So my save file was corrupted. Thankfully, I was able to fix this by loading an older save from before this glitch started, and that unfucked everything on every save. But if I didn't have those saves anymore, then what? I would possibly have had to start a new game to repair it the same same way, but maybe not. I don't know if starting a new game would have fixed it. So there's a very real possibility that this game could have been permanently fucked by this glitch if I wasn't lucky enough to have made several saves, a situation that could require an entire reinstall.
What a great game!
Jesus Christ. And this is the worst thing this game does. Through its shitty design, through glitches, or anything else, it's misleading to an extreme degree. This game is also slow as hell when it comes to getting to play the game. The first time I launched the game, I have to wait like 5 minutes for it to compile the hecking shaders. Then you get this thing you're watching right now, which is a loading screen, but it doesn't say anywhere that it's a loading screen. So I sat there expecting this to be an opening cutscene, but nothing happened for 2 minutes, at which point I got worried that the game had softlock. Does it hurt to put a loading text somewhere so I could know the game's not freaking out? Then whenever you load a save, this becomes a loading screen for the next loading screen, so you can load while you load, dog. They probably ran into some issue they couldn't solve with just one loading screen. And this game does this thing a lot where you don't know if you're loading or if your game is frozen. It's all so misleading. And what about when you are riding with a bounty target on your horse and then the game decides to glitch out again, as it does every 5 minutes or so? The bounty target falls off. Instead of the game just letting you pick him up again, no, that's not allowed. You have to untie him, tackle him down, tie him up again, and then you can grab him again. Oh my god. This next thing is a severe recurring problem. In this boring quest where you have to put these furnaces back together, I started to assemble one, but I went to take a look at what these furnaces are supposed to look like. I went to another one, activated it, and then I went back. And where are the pieces? They are gone. They are gone. They were deleted. I looked everywhere for them, thinking that their location was just re-randomized. But no, they were gone. So not only is the game design absolute trash, you also have to deal with Softlocks. Very good, very good. This is far from the last time we'll see Softlocks happening in this dog shit game. The next Softlock I had to endure was in the quest where you have to eavesdrop. I eavesdropped once, the target switched locations. I went over there, but I couldn't find where to listen anywhere inside the yellow area of the objective. I gave up, went to look up a guide, went to this inconspicuous wall you would never think would be an important spot, leaned against the wall, and nothing happened. That's when I knew the save was barked. Reviewing the recording, I realized that earlier I had decided to test the threaten mechanic on these two guys that are standing next to this wall. I was disappointed because it's just a fucking tackle like the one you use to capture the bounty targets. And so I committed a crime, I ran away, but that made those two NPCs run off into the sunset and they never came back. And it turned out that these were the NPCs that I needed to eavesdrop on. And that's absolute bullshit. In any decent game, if you do something wrong to an essential NPC, you get a game over or a reset, or you get a notification telling you that the quest failed and that you have to redo it. But as we know, the main quest line in this game, nobody gives you the quests. Your characters just know what to do as soon as you complete one. And so there's no way to implement a fail condition the same way every other RPG does. It's garbage game design. I reloaded again, went back there to try and listen from the outside this time, but I tried and tried to lean on the wall. I couldn't because there was a log in the way, so I used nature's grasp to try and get it out of there, but doing so scared the NPCs and one of them ran away, soft locking me again. None of the devs tested this piece of shit. The testers are the suckers such as myself who bought this broken product at full price. Then when I walk in this house to talk to my buddies after one of them let the villain escape, as always, guess what happens?
You let him slip away.
In case you're wondering what's going on, I am soft-locked. I can't move my character anymore. And he can't reach the people to trigger the cutscene. I am completely stuck. So, okay, I reload the last save. He forcibly walks up to this spot before the cutscene. There's nothing I can do to avoid this softlock. And it happens again. Yet another corrupted save file. Wow, never seen that before, guys. So I'm forced to load an earlier save to try and unfuck this, because this game is so good, guys. Oh my god, game of the year right here, motherfucker. Fucking slop slurping golems. And all the time I want to fast travel, I have to deal with this. Cannot do this in your current state. What does that mean? It happens completely at random. At some point, I couldn't fast travel at all because it will always give me this message. I think it's something about the state your character is in, like running or braking. I don't know. It's one more janky annoyance from this janky ass game. Throwing explosives is janky, sometimes the radius doesn't work, and then I got stuck once doing this. Couldn't move anymore at all. I could just watch myself die. Then there was the episode when the horse launched me to space. The horse just getting completely obliterated like this, getting stuck, falling over and over because I dared to touch water from a waterfall. Climbing, your character really likes to climb stuff even if you don't want to. In the middle of a fight, and the climbing mechanic as well, full of jank. Your character just doesn't do what you want sometimes. Some walls, they're just not climbable for some reason, even though there's nothing different about them. Several times I got locked out of my character because I wanted to mount the horse, but the fucking horse started walking away, so I was stuck with my character walking towards the horse slowly. Enemies you've killed, resurrecting, getting on their feet, and falling dead again, casually like that. There are duplicated characters on top of each other like this. At one point, I completed a sealed artifact challenge, but the artifact, I couldn't open it. It was telling me to press escape, but it wouldn't open. The text just says, use the artifact. Well, I tried to use it multiple times, nothing happened, and then it unfucked itself at random later. The enemies, the bandits in these bandit camps, they just phase through closed gates. This game is just jank, 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 jank everywhere. Unfortunately, it's not jank Kino. It's jank slop. Very, very often, your horse will just come running at you and you'll mount it without even wanting to. There's nothing you can do. And in this instance, this shit glitched out so bad, my character could not unmount. He would keep coming back up on the horse. This fucking game reminds me of Cyberpunk. It's not as bad, but there are a lot, and I mean a lot of glitches, some of them being game breaking. Then all of a sudden I could clip through my horse. I wonder if these glitches are all offshoots of that glitch that made me unable to interact with anything with my weapons drawn. The horse's double jump, or any other double jump for that matter, is so finicky. Sometimes it just doesn't work. It's like there's this specific timing you have to press as you're coming down from the jump. It makes no fucking sense. It barely helps then. They didn't put much effort on the other characters aside from Cliff. The girl has many lines that have no recorded voice acting.
No one's. Who would live in such a resentful place? All of them were crafted by a nameless man.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit that I have ever heard.
Some of the voice lines you hear, they are pretty fucking bad too. Very robotic. Might as well be AI.
A cure like this, you have to be tempted, no? Now, it's not forbidden, just uncommon knowledge. Fancy making a deal with me? This herb's as rare as they come.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they left the AI placeholder lines in the final product, dude. Oh my god. What a half-assed product. So yeah, anyone who's blabbering about getting immersed, taking things slow, that it gets better when you do side content. Yeah, I'm sure you love getting immersed in shit. I have bad news, but it might be those Indian genes. That kind of immersion, you can have it. I'm good. Here, I can play that game too. Enjoy some AI slop.
You will buy our GPUs to run your ugly, smeary games full of ghosting that we are making uglier on purpose to sell you our overpriced fake frame machines. And you will like it.
this game's visuals are a mixed bag. Environments can look gorgeous from a distance, but at the same time, the stuff you look at up close can look pretty disgusting. This game kinda looks like it's a UE5 game. In fact, a lot of people thought it was, me included at first, before I did a quick Google on it. And why? Well, it's because this engine, the Black Space engine they used for this game, leans heavy on the usual real-time GI bullshit, real-time soft shadows, yada yada yada, technologies that require an insane amount of denoising to run on gaming PCs. This denoising depends on many frames to stabilize, and it results in the game looking smeary with a lot of ghosting. In foggy environments, it makes me want to vomit. The only good thing is that the game runs pretty well on max settings, save for lighting. We'll see why in a second. Even on my old ass 3080 Ti, it runs pretty damn well. Aside from all this smearing, which is most apparent when it's raining, the lighting is pretty janky. In dark places lit by torches, the darkness, it doesn't render correctly. It looks like these weird splotches of fog that clear up over time. The update rate on the lights, they're pretty bad too. When you move from sunlight into a dark cave, the cave is lit up and gradually grows darker as the lighting adapts. It's disgusting to look at. The character models, they look pretty cheap. Honestly, the characters, they look straight out of a PS3 game. They look pretty damn ugly compared to everything else. Especially their skin, it looks rock solid. The lip syncing is pretty damn bad too, which is god awful.
The force palm leaf, a herb with secret tingly magic inside. You can make so many wonderful potions from it.
Seize them and drown them in darkness. We ask that you help restore the fallen sanctuaries and restore order.
Alright.
Half-Life 2 puts this game to shame. A 22-year-old game has better facial animations than this. No, scratch that. Half-Life 1, a 28-year-old game, has better lip syncing than Crimson Desert. Let that sink in. The water is one of the worst looking things in this game. Extremely blurry reflections. Sometimes when I'm looking at a lake's surface, for example, it looks like a coat of plastic instead of water. It does look acceptable in some places. Like here, this river looks okay, but mostly the reflections are the culprit here. They are too damn low res. They seem to look better with ray reconstruction turned on, but that features drops the FPS to 25 and introduces new artifacts to an already artifact-heavy game, at least on my GPU. A feature that allegedly makes your games run better by introducing fake lighting instead makes the game run worse and introduces new problems. Well, thanks Jensen Huang. It's tragic how games are now employing Nvidia's scammy and scummy technologies to look good, and if you turn those off, the games look like trash. It's absurd. No, Jensen, I'm not gonna buy your shitty fake frames graphics cards just to look at pretty water, you piece of human garbage.
The more you buy, the more you save. That's right. The more you buy, the more you save. The more you buy, the more you save.
But anyway, the rain looks good when it does, but when it doesn't, oh my god, it looks uglier than the rain from the Silent Hill 2 remake. Look at this, it looks like it's raining needles instead of water. There's a lot of popping in, especially in reflections in the distance. It's pretty jarring to look at. From what I've seen, this seems worse on console than on PC, but it's still there. And it looks pretty funny. But even on PC, I caught some things that, holy shit. The foliage, especially grass, because of all the denoising and temporal bullshit, looks pretty awful. It doesn't look as bad as in this recording, but it looks so bad that it even crushes the bitrate. It's extremely smeary. I also got some visual glitches. When the lighting was set to max, I would get this weird glitch where a whole quadrant of the screen would light up permanently. So I had to lower my lighting settings to fix that shit. Sometimes there are these weird glitches during cutscenes in the dimly lit indoors where the colors will get super saturated and you'll see a lot of bending in the shadows. It looks like a Photoshop filter. Nasty stuff. Like I said, this game looks pretty from a distance, but things up close, not so good looking. Just like the food that you're forced to take a close look at, you can see the texture increasing in resolution as it loads in, and the final result doesn't look good at all.
Oh, shit!
As for the story, I gotta be honest, I didn't care at all. Story comes last in the list of priorities in a game, and when everything else was that bad as we've seen, then I'm not going to pay attention to the story. It doesn't help that the character you control, Cliff, is such a dull dude. He's basically discount Geralt. Stoic as Geralt, but without any of the charisma. And before anyone says, oh, but it's an RPG, dude, of course your character is a blank slate, he's an avatar for the player. First off, this game doesn't even have a character creator. You play as Cliff, this guy. You can't pick stats, a name, a class, nothing. He is an established character. And second, if your character is a blank slate, then it falls on the rest of the characters in the game to add color and personality to the story. And sadly, all the other characters and NPCs are as uninteresting as he is. Save for Jan, the dude who's always blowing off steam. At least he has a personality. The chick you can play as is dull. The orc dude is even duller somehow. They all have the same stoic personalities, dude. There can be no good character dynamics when everybody's personality is the same. Every side NPC, save for one, they all feel like disposable side characters a competent game would discard after their one and only moment. But they stay. This makes this game give me that distinct, shallow, hollow feeling of AI slop. They're just there. You couldn't ask me the name of any one of them. That's how little of an impression they make. So basically, your character, Cliff, belongs to a clan called the Greymanes. Everybody gets attacked by another clan of savages called the Black Bears. And you get killed as well. Then somehow, as you're sinking to the bottom of this river, you get transported to a weird surreal place called the Abyss. Then you do some bullshit and you resurrect. From this point on, the game's main questline is just a string of completely unrelated quests your character just knows he's supposed to do without anyone telling him and without him having to talk to any of the NPCs first, but we already went over this. But in some of these super disconnected quests, you help an old beggar and a woman locked up in a random sewer, and it turns out that they are these wizards that live up in the sky, which I think is where the Abyss is. But I don't care about any of this, nor do I plan to figure out what's going on, who these people are, what this place is. You're just the chosen one. I guess you are special somehow, to restore the balance of the world and prevent the Abyss from taking over. It's just some generic high fantasy crap like that, probably generated by ChatGPT. Then you fall from the sky, Tears of the Kingdom style, because that's another thing the AI spit out for the developers of this game to copy without giving any thought to it. And once again, you go back to doing completely unrelated random quests in the main quest line that all feel like random side quests for how pointless they are. Then at some point, you start looking for your fellow Greymanes, searching for them to regroup. You get a base camp, more and more Greymanes assemble there as you search for them. While saving one of them, you fight off this random chud contrarian who cosplays as a scarecrow called the Reed, Sneed, and Seed Devil because his parents were mean to him. Pretty basic stuff. Oh, earlier, you also fight to liberate a tribe of suspiciously big-nosed little goblins that love money. What is the game trying to tell us, I wonder? I don't know, man. I'm drawing blanks. Stop thinking of conspiracy theories, you chud. At some point, you go to a big university on a mountain, full of these big troll scholars who are researching the Abyss. They fuck everything up and open up a rift to it. You fight this random floating shadow called the Tenenbaum. Then you enter the Abyss, and I gotta tell you, for a place that's called the Abyss, floating islands in the sky does not make justice to the name. This has nothing to do with an abyss in any way, shape, or form. But who am I to question our Korean overlords, the best game designers in the world now, apparently, out of a sudden. The ones who will save gaming and bring it back to form. And it's a breath of fresh air who will make us all have a blast and change our lives and all the other buzzwords and buzz phrases everybody who's glazing this game is using. But anyway, in there, you meet this generic old dude who's the main villain. Well, where have I seen that before, I wonder? I can't remember. Where was it? Now, the similarity must be a coincidence. You get spit into the real world again, and someone sends a monster to the town, sort of like a Trojan horse. They gotta fight before it can kill everybody. Well, I wonder who could have sent it. What a mystery. Great shit. Truly, a story that puts Shakespeare to shame, I gotta admit. I'm sure it gets better, like everyone said the game got better after 80 hours. Or was it 100 hours? I don't know. The next guy you gotta fight is the Crow Caller, who, much like this Need Devil who had daddy issues, this guy this time has mommy issues. I really don't know where they want to go with this. At one point you're fighting in wars, saving your comrades, fucking up the bears who fucked you up, and then you're fighting these weird magical people who appear to make trouble out of nowhere. There are so many threads going on in parallel in this story. It's all over the place. So you keep building up your camp, eventually you go to war in a neighboring state, and some of the people responsible for the massacre that happened in the beginning of the game start to appear. You go to war with them to reclaim your homeland, which was taken over after the Greymanes were dispersed, and then you fight this dude, the lightning god who betrayed you, who sold you out or something like that. Then you find the big bear dude. Oh, and by the way, every boss that you kill in this game doesn't actually die. They always escape. The only boss that has finally died is this lightning guy, but the game just had to have him escape. So you have to fight him again, this time as the orc dude, to finally kill him. That's the only death, as far as I can remember, any villain had. That and the goblin dictator who you had killed earlier in the game, but most of them escape in one way or another. It is so unrewarding and unsatisfying. The big bear guy, Myrden, who killed you at the beginning of the game, seems to be working with the old dude, the main villain, and that explains why they went after you out of fucking nowhere. And then you start to investigate who that guy is, and you know, pretty basic stuff, and that's it. That's the kind of story this is. My faction versus your faction, wars helping a state defeat the others, a villain mastermind who's been controlling the events of the story from the shadows, and I'm sure there will be a plot twist in there about the identity of that guy, or maybe not, who knows, who cares? Who plays an open world RPG, and especially this one, which was supposed to be an MMO originally for the story. It was put together at the last minute by the devs since the old director of the game got fired and replaced by someone else. They had to get rid of the original story, which seemed much more interesting. You can read about that if you want on your own, and it was replaced by all this generic medieval fantasy stuff full of contrivances and drawn out plots. Almost none of the enemies you defeat die because they have to drag out the story as long as they can for padding. Right as you're about to kill your rival, he gets saved by the boss you defeated earlier, who also escaped from you for the stupidest reason possible, and you are defeated because he just pushes you. Okay, dude, it feels like the story should have ended in chapter 7 or so, but there are 14 chapters, dude, counting the prologue and the epilogue. What a shame. This game had so much potential to be good. It truly is a shame. I really wanted to like this game. I tried and tried to look for enjoyment in this, tried doing what other streamers did, going off the main quest and exploring and doing side content. Every time I got excited to play it again after seeing other people having fun with it, but then I went to play it myself and it's just boring. 50 hours of chances I gave this game, but it was all a giant waste of time. I can see the appeal in some of the things you can do in it, but judging all of it, it's pretty fucking bad. Or maybe it hasn't gotten good yet. You know, there's a legend out there, rumors and whispers that say that after an X number of hours, this game gets good finally. It's already becoming myth, which is weird because I've seen people who have completed the game say that it didn't get good even after they were done. So maybe it gets good after 300 hours of doing side quests. Maybe you unlock one super good side quest that's better than the entire rest of the game put together. I don't know. It's like searching for leprechauns or searching for Bigfoot in GTA San Andreas. Such a weird phenomenon this game is, and such a weird effect it's caused on everybody that's played it. There's some pretty funny stuff happening because of this game, I gotta tell you. Me? I wouldn't put any more money than I've already sank in urban legends or fairy tales such as this game getting good ever.
Oh, shit!
Okay, so to answer the most burning questions, does this game get good after 0 hours? No. Does it get good after 8 hours?
No.
Does it get good after 20 hours?
No!
Does it get good after 40 hours?
No!
Does it at least improve after a certain point? Yeah, it slightly improves after chapter 5 because you stop doing humiliating slave work and you actually get to fight in wars and stuff. But then the difficulty spikes require you to grind side quests. So you get back to grinding. Grinding in a single player game, what a good sign. What a good sign. This game was supposed to be an MMO. I don't know why they changed their minds, canned that idea and made it a single player game. And even if it did get good after 20 hours, there's no way any self-respecting human would go through 20 hours of slog. I've heard enough of that bullshit from goy cattle that like to play MMOs and say that, dude, the game gets good only at the end game, only at the post game, dude. That's what everybody plays these games for, as they buy accounts so they don't have to level up from level 1. What is that but an admission that the game is a piece of shit? So no, even the latest patches were not enough for me to change my opinion on it. It's a good sign for the far future, but I won't start glazing this game yet. 1 or 2 patches that barely fix any of the problems isn't enough. If they truly fix the god-awful movement for real, once they balance the boss fights, not making them so ridiculously hard as they were before, and not so ridiculously easy as they are now, once they fill up the map with actual interesting and meaningful things for you to discover, which honestly is asking too much of an open world game, as the only one who ever managed to do that to this day was Breath of the Wild. Once they fix all the glitches that I mentioned and all the other ones that exist that I've seen other people suffering through, which make playing this game the same as experiencing a little bit of hell on earth, then, only then, will this game get good, perhaps. Because it has the potential to be pretty good, but it needs more than superficial tweaks like these last patches have been doing. Because right now, this game is at best a 5 out of 10. The first 20 hours alone are a 2 out of 10. The only way you can enjoy this game is if you stop caring about its glaring flaws, which massively outweigh the things it does well. So if you turn off your brain and surrender yourself to the cheap dopamine hits of exploring the map to find the same things you find everywhere else, warp points and skill points. If you can convince yourself that's satisfying, that seeing number go up is all you need, then you'll have a great time with this game. I think people like this game because it has so much content in it. It's all samey and shallow in essence, but if they're presented with a new coat of paint each time, then it's easy to mistake these for substantial things and get a dopamine release each time. That way the novelty factor never runs out. But the gameplay loop itself is horrible, and it's an interesting thing, because every single person I've seen playing this game, just observing, you could swear that those people hate the game as well. But somehow they say they like it. They go through the same suffering, the same torture when fighting enemies, fighting bosses, trying to move around. They have the same complaints, but somehow they say they like the game, that it's enjoyable, without ever being able to explain why. And I'm not even saying that I didn't enjoy this game at any point. No, there were some enjoyable parts, but they were very few and far between. It certainly doesn't make it worth suffering through the slog that is the main quest, or the slog that is grinding for gear once the game ups the difficulty out of nowhere, turning every enemy into damage sponges, even the foot soldiers you have to fight everywhere. This is one piece of moldy bread that you can't cut off the moldy parts and eat only the good ones, unfortunately. So in conclusion, don't buy this game. It's unfinished, it's undercooked, it's full of glitches, it is broken, and it's a half-assed product that should have been something else, as admitted by the people who worked on it. That's the thing, the most avid defenders of this game say that it's all gonna be fixed in 6 months after they patch everything out. Because when a legion of people all come out of the woodworks at the same exact time, using the same exact arguments, word for word. That's the sign of a mindless bandwagon, if it's even organic to begin with, which most often than not it isn't. Furthermore, let's assume that all these people have a crystal ball. Does that make the game a good game? No. I'm playing the game as it currently is. I'm not playing an imaginary version of the game that will only exist in 6 months or a year. So if you're interested in this game, then I think you should wait. Wait until most of these issues are fixed, if they ever are. Otherwise, just play The Witcher 3. It's simply better than this game in every aspect. Unfortunately, I can't refund it. I would if I could. That's all from me for now. I'll see you guys later.